Hi, I thought I would make a part 2 to this video. I decided that just showing you the brick wasn't going to be enough, so I'm taking a walk again. Of course I am. And we're going to go to where I found these brick walls coming up through the ground. And I found it very interesting. So, it's really foggy out today. You can't even hardly see the sun. I think the sun's somewhere. You can't see it, it's that foggy. And my hair is kind of like wet from the damp fog. Feels like London fog. So, I would like to talk about also some more of the giants. I find them fascinating. I had done a video on them briefly where I talked about in these buildings they didn't have bathrooms. All their houses they lived in. And it looks like they had technology, of course, that they did use. They had places where they used the bathroom, but the technology would evaporate it. And I thought that was also very interesting. It was like a toilet, but it didn't. It was open-ended. It was just something you sat on. Very interesting. Our technologies that we had at one point. It looks like a lot of the technologies that they had, they were given to us on a degree. We didn't get the full technology of everything because at one point we were kind of not advanced enough, I'm going to say, to handle some of these technologies. And there was also a bit of negativity in some of us, and it was thought that it wasn't safe, I guess that's how you can put it, that we were to be handed some of this technology. So that's why we didn't get it all. That's why when you go back and you look into the civilizations before us, it's like a car being pulled by a horse. Or a trolley being pulled by a horse, because of course technology was there and a lot of it was taken away so that they could further enslave us, but all done in degrees. Really sad. But looking at the giants, they were very loving individuals. They did not hold malice in their hearts. The ones that had the civilizations that were handed over to us. It was done out of kindness and love. But it looks like they were evolving also, like we're all evolving. And they were on a much higher evolution, not of just understanding the way things are and their technologies, but inside of them, knowing that these were just, even they had the carbon-based shells, even though they weren't as tightly packed as we are. Their shells were a little bit, let's just say their energy beings had manipulated their shells to be on a higher vibration to the point where they could do all kinds of things that we can only dream about. They could bilocate, they could communicate mind to mind, they could manipulate physical manifestations with their mind. And because of this, they could implement it into earthen technologies. And everything that they did only ever benefited this reality. They didn't do anything unless it benefited this reality, of course, and themselves. Harming and hurting wasn't a part of their philosophies. So they are very different than the reality that we're given. Definitely, if I had to choose, I'd be in that reality. Absolutely, most of us would. So we're on our way to that reality, and we'll be getting there sooner than you think. We'll have to get through the muck and the mire of this. It's like we're having a rebirth, and birth is always messy and painful. So basically, that's what we are in. We're having a rebirth. It's messy and it's painful. So, You can see we're going to be going down here. Just love these trails. In Delaware, they really do care about the people here because they put a lot of work into making many trails. I mean, it's Delaware, Pennsylvania. I'm right next to Pennsylvania and I'm right next to Maryland. It's like Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Delaware. It's all right here. We're like at that point. So, very nice here. I liked Maryland, but I love Delaware. So, we should be getting to where the bricks are here in a few more minutes. So, nice walk though. Hi, good morning. We have bike riders that go through here. I mean, they're just everywhere. There's some more over here. Because these are bike trails also. They're for bikers and bicycle riders. Let me say that. And pedestrians walking. There are a few trails that are for horses, but this is not them. I have walked a couple of the horse trails. You just have to be real careful where you walk. Of course. You don't want to be stepping on any horse hockey. That's what they call it. So, now we're walking up a little bit. There is a trail back here that I absolutely adore. I call it the Winnie the Pooh Trail because it reminds me of Winnie the Pooh. The 100-acre of Winnie the Pooh. And I get that nostalgic Winnie the Pooh feeling too when I walk it. I'll have to take all of you on that Winnie the Pooh Trail. Just wonderful. So, I'm still walking. Trying to get up here to this brick. And when we get to the place where the brick is coming through the ground, looks like the Park Services had dug down into the ground, some places like 4 feet or more, to make the path. And that's how deep these brick are underneath of the ground. So it's like the mud flood definitely was on top of this. And they dug down to it, or we'd have never seen all of this that's coming up. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. So, interesting. It smells like lemons in here. Must be some wild herb. Maybe it's lemon balm. Lemon balm smells like lemons. I noticed there's all kinds of wild herbs growing growing around here. I'm walking really fast, trying to get to it, to this side trail. All the trails are basically footpaths. This trail, where they had dug out, in the wintertime it opens up a lot more because the vegetation overgrew it and was actually dug down by a backhoe or something. Because you can see where it cut into the ground. And because of it, of course, they hit those bricks because they were so down deep. And when I walk through this part of the trails and stuff, I can see where old civilizations, buildings, Antiquitech probably was, because of the kind of stone I've found. And it's just like a concrete with a tile over it. And it's up in the woods. And it's like, oh, okay. Considering that there's nothing on the books of this even existing. So we're almost to it. It's coming. We're getting to the area where we're going to go down. And they had dug down to the brick. And it's coming up. And this is where I had that incident with that woman the other day. Her fear was phenomenal. Terribly phenomenal. It's scary. Scary fear. So here is the trails. It's going to split. So we're going to be going down here, of course. And there's a trail behind us, and there's one going through the fields. So we're basically going to be going down this. This is where they absolutely dug to make this trail. And when I look at the ground, I can see old structures coming up through. And when I get to the first little bit of evidence, I'll start showing you. So we'll walk a little bit. It's really nice in here. Okay, so we're coming up to the first piece. Now, this is amazing. Look at this. I don't know if you can see this, but here's the ground. And here's the first piece of the brick. Yep, it's just a piece of wall coming up through. And then it's going to be pieces of wall all through here, just coming up through the ground. Now, no one threw the brick down to make this pathway. No, it was dug out, and this was underneath. So if you look over here, you can see how high the ground actually was, and they dug all this down. So that's one. That's where it starts. And then as you start to walk and look, you'll start seeing this brick just coming through from up underneath the ground. And when I first walked it last year, before I started finding these mud flooders, these flat earthers, whatever, talking about all this, I took it for granted. I'm like, I wonder how that got there. Never questioned it. And then when I started researching, it's like, I need to start questioning everything I come across. But here, you can see where that's how deep it's been dug out. So here's the ground, and that's how much was dug out. So that's a good 4 or 5, or let me see how tall I am. So this is me. Oh gosh, this is probably, they dug out at least 6 foot, because this is me standing against it. And this is how tall the ground was, and they dug all this out. So this was underneath. That's why the brick are coming up, because that's how deep down it is. So absolutely some type of mud flood event. And plus I see it too. So we're walking down here, and the further I walk down, the more I'll find. It's very interesting. And it's like, has anyone ever questioned it, or were they just like me as of last year? Oh well, it's just a brick in the walk. Yeah, no. But yeah, we just have to relook at everything now. And when I touch things also, I can get a feel of what that was. So if you own something and I held it, I could get a feel of how you were at the moment when you were touching that. So I've been feeling the brick, and I get this nostalgic feeling of a time frame that, a wonderful time frame actually. Here's another one. This is part of a wall. You wouldn't know it now because it's fallen over, but this was actually a part of a wall. So when I walk over this and I stop and I feel it, I can feel that this was a wall of some type. And it's not been put here. This was already here. It was just dug up. So just the little things like that, you just take it for granted, like, oh, it's just some rock in the ground. No, it was actually a part of a wall, which was interesting. So we're walking down here. It's amazing once you have a little bit of information, which you can tack on to that. Now, here we go again. You'll see the brick just coming up out of the ground. Here's the brick, and it's just literally, the brick is just coming up out of the ground. And here's a piece of that wall, because it's all connected. Here's some more brick, and as we start walking, we'll see, and it's underneath the ground. That's the thing. You wouldn't even know it. It's under the ground. It's coming up. It's not like someone threw brick down and made this. That's not it at all. I got mud all over my hand. So it's very interesting. And as we go down, it looks like water has eroded the brick down here. So there's more brick coming up everywhere. Just brick and wall. When the state parks come out and they put down the gravel, they don't put down brick and wall. They just dump gravel, because the top of it has been dumped over. But this other stuff is coming up through. So it was there initially. Hello, good morning. So we're coming up to more wall. The wall is actually uniformed, so I'm stepping over it. But there's a lot of natural springs in here, of course, and with the help of the natural springs, it's really helping to bring it to the surface. Oh yeah. So I've walked all through these woods off the trail, because the trails are nice, but I like to go off the beaten path. I like to explore off of the path. I think it's interesting what you can find when no one ever does that. They don't diverge from the path. I love diverging from the path. So I'm just going down looking at different things. I think the paths are wonderful for people who like to be on a set road. I don't like to be on a set road. It's okay for the first time, but then it's time to go explore and see what you can see. So we're going to go down a little further where a lot of it has come to the surface because of the water. We're walking downhill. It doesn't seem like it, but we're actually going down. So when it rains, the water's just flushing down here. Yeah. And the further you go down, the steeper the grade, and then more erosion. So, looking. And I noticed that there are certain buildings, just like there are in our reality. There was a building here, there was a building there. Not all together. So, interesting. This is so gorgeous outside. I love the fog. I don't know why. There's something about the fog. It just gives me that, I don't know. I just love it. Reminds me of Sherlock Holmes. He was always in the fog. I did as a child love watching Sherlock Holmes from Arthur Conan Doyle, his Sherlock Holmes series. Really loved that when I was younger. Loved the sleuthing. I thought it was fabulous. So, it's very misty out here. If you could still see that. I'm going to switch arms here. I'm used to carrying my phone because I talk to everybody in the world here when I'm out walking, and I'm out walking a lot. So, I can actually handle... Okay, here's where parts of the buildings are coming up, and you can see the water erosion. Here we go. Here we go. The water erosion, big chunks of the building. So if you're going to make a pathway, you're not going to do this. These are, look at the moss, and look at the big chunks of the building, and they're still all back through here. Big chunks of building, and you can see the concrete that was made, and then the individual bricks. So that's coming up. I'm going to just leave it on the ground for a minute, and we'll be walking this way. And there are pieces of wall. This is an entire wall here. It's all connected. And you can see the connection on this wall. This is one piece of wall. Here's another piece of wall. It's all connected. If I moved all of this dirt, it's all connected. And then here we have again pieces of brick building. And it looks like there's a piece of brick building here. I mean, it's just all coming up. It's just all coming up. And then there's pieces of brick. It's like it was shattered. Like I can take these pieces of brick out. I mean, these are coming up from under the ground. And there's a brick here, and there's a brick here, and here's a piece of the wall. And the wall is a little bit different than the brick. It's got the stones in it. It's like the wall is made out of stones, and the brick is made out of the mortar. So here's some more mortar right here. So, and the further you go down, the more you'll see. It's like there was a building here. Look, this is a piece of wall. Look at this. Look how uniform this is. This is a huge piece of wall. It's just fallen over and then was buried. And see, the wall is made out of this kind of stuff. And the brick, which were here's another piece. I mean, they're just coming up out of the ground. I mean, this is coming up from underneath the ground. It's being exposed. And of course, it was all dug out because that's how deep it was. And over time, I don't know how long this path has been here, at least maybe 10 years. I'm sure it's been eroding down, and brick is coming up. Oh, it's coming up out of the ground. So, and here's another piece. Looks like, I don't know if it's attached to a piece of wall, because this looks like the mortar that's holding the brick. Here's another piece. And then we have all this brick coming up out of the ground. This wasn't laid here. This is coming up. So, I mean, this is just one section. Can you imagine what's underneath of all of this? Can you just imagine? And here's another prime example. Look at this. Here's the mortar, and here's the brick coming up out of. I mean, and it's just everywhere. It's just coming up out of. Look at this. Look at this. And it's just, here's another one. I mean, people are coming across this just like I was, and we just don't even pay attention because, oh, you know, whatever. Here we go again. Brick, mortar. Here's some of that wall structure. It's all wall. Here's some more brick. I mean, it's like been blown apart. It's crazy. Just crazy. So, this is what I was talking about. Stuff that we see in our everyday and we just dismiss it. We don't even think about it. And all through here, I mean, there's just a large brick wall going on here. Yeah. We dismiss it because we think, oh, well, it's nothing. Because we're trained not to question anything. I wanted to go down here. Just going to walk down here. There's some other stuff down here. And I had gone up in these woods. See how they had cut all of this out. You can see the height. So this entire path was cut down. Of course, that's the layer. This one right here is the layer that all the brick is coming up, because that's how deep under the ground it was. And I can't stress to you enough how much was dug out. So, as you can see, it going upward. And there were all these civilization here that we know nothing about. And it's not mentioned. Of course not. And I'm wondering how much stuff is under the ground, under the mud. And this is just in the woods. I saw a couple of things that were quite interesting, and I'm taking you to them now. Still on this path, and I'm sure people pass it every day. Of course they do. And they don't question it. And I will give you a little heads up about it, where there are rock of some type of civilization, walls, what have you. And these trees that are at least 100 years old have grown over top of them. And when I first saw that, I was like, that's not right. That doesn't seem right. So that's where we're going now. I'm just going to walk down here. Yeah, I hear geese. They're migrating. Oh yeah, the goose population is being severely diminished year by year. We used to have hundreds of thousands of geese going over in just one section. And now you see them, you can count them, there's so few of them in their little arrow form, their form, their, I don't know what you call it. When they fly, they have that arrow formation that they fly in. So, look how much has been dug out. Look how deep this is compared to me. That's how deep it's been dug. And then there's still all this stuff under here. But there's down here is a creek, and it goes down to a creek. And look at all the trees falling from all of the devastation of the chemtrailing of the heavy metals. Most of the trees have been severely damaged from heavy metal damage, where the inside of the trees are being eaten out. It weakens the tree so the insects can devastate the trees. It'd be like us being inundated with entire new strains of bacteria, not viruses, but bacteria. And then our immune system has to adjust. Well, these trees can't adjust, so it's causing mass devastation. And the chemtrail needs to stop. It's horrible. It's really horrible. We had 4 days of no chemtrailing, and it was quite wonderful. My hair is just getting wetter and wetter as I'm out here. Looks like I stepped out of the shower. Yeah, we had 4 days of beautiful blue skies, not a chemtrail, not even high altitude geoengineering chemtrailing. And it was quite wonderful. The temperature was cool, it was dry, it's nice. I enjoyed it. So, looks like the sun's trying to find its way out. Oh, I see sunshine on the ground a little bit. The sun's trying to come out. Good. Like to see our sun. Trying to walk down here quickly. This is going to be a long video. Sorry, guys. It's going to be as long as it takes me to walk. But I should be there soon. Oh, boy. It's beautiful out here today. Well, I think it's beautiful every day. Even if it's pouring rain, I think it's beautiful. Because I do love this reality. I don't like all the humanity crap, but the reality itself, I do love it. I love nature. I love the animals, and I love the whole ecosystem. I really do. I like to see it brought back to its full potential beauty that it can have, because it's been so diminished. But yeah. And this is why I go walking for hours every day. I have to be outside. I can't be in the house. I like my house that I'm in. I'm in my brother's house. It's a nice house. But I feel most at home in nature. Now, we should be coming up to where I saw that. Oh, I hope I didn't pass it by talking. Here we go. This is what I'm talking about. Look at this. Trees growing over rock. And I'll walk up here. Look at this. Somebody lost a doggy thing. Oh, well, I hope they'll find it. Let's stick that there. But trees growing up over rock. And you'll have, look at this. This is inside. You can't get it out. And there was something here, because all of this was a part of a structure. I mean, it's not just random rock. And when you look at it, you can see, like, look at this. Look at this. This was part of something. Like it was some kind of structure blown apart. And you can see all of this. This tree, look at this. This is what I'm talking about. I'm going to digress a second here. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. These trees, when they fall over, where's the root system? The root system should be as big as the tree is on top. And the roots have recoiled from the heavy metals. And so they become top heavy and can no longer stand and fall over. Plus they're being eaten from the inside out. But, yeah. And we're going to go down a little bit. But yeah, we have trees growing over infrastructure. And it's like, you would think they're just rock. But I know that they were infrastructure of some type at one point. And I can imagine what's underneath all of this I'm standing on. I mean, we have this, it's just like scattered, broken. Look, this is cut. You see the angle on this? And all this rock it looks like it's been a part of a rock wall. I mean, in nature, you're just not going to get these. Look at the angle on this. You're just not going to get that. It's not natural. And if you look at most of the rock, it looks like, here's a prime example. Look at the angles on this. This has been cut. And it's all this rock. So it was a structure at one time. So you can pick up almost every piece and you can see that it was actually cut to fit. So things people just don't even think about. I do know that in the civilization before us, nature was integral in their building. They used nature. That way they didn't do anything, but they used nature. Nature was their biggest ally. And it was non-impactful because it was a part of nature. And it wasn't industrial. There was no industry. It wasn't like that. They had the power, they had earth and technology, and they used nature. It's just as simple as that. So look at this tree devastation. This is what's happening. I mean, it's just, there's almost more laying on the ground than there is standing up. So when we come across things like mounds and things, you have to wonder what's under there. Just look at this. Not good. Just terrible. Just terrible. Look at the damage on this. This is from insects burrowing under because the heavy metals have deteriorated the tree's ability to protect itself from natural predators. And it's as simple as that. It's like AIDS, an autoimmune deficiency disease. And that's what the heavy metal has done to the trees. It's like AIDS with trees having AIDS. Oh, it's horrible. I mean, if you could see, just look at this. I could have walked through here 15 years ago and you wouldn't see a tree down anywhere hardly. It'd be rare. So I guess I'll end this video and I'll finish my walk. And everybody have a great day. And I'll see you on my next video. Bye.